Today's date is December 3rd, 2017. Hello and welcome to Hit the Books Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
And we're here to give you all the saucy deets on everything comics this week. For those unfamiliar with the show, Emery and I come to you each and every Wednesday to bring you the latest comic book news, let you know what's coming to your local comic book shops, and discuss the latest and greatest topics for your amusement. We're available on YouTube, Stitcher, and iTunes for free. You can also find the latest episodes by going to our website, www.htbvids.com. If that sounds like a good time, be sure to hit like and subscribe, and check out our other comic book content and reviews. Without further ado, let's get into it.
Oh, yeah.
Emery, what have you been reading?
Read a couple of things, one of which was the issue number 1, Mystic U. And I gotta say, it's a very interesting take on what could easily have just felt like Hogwarts. But, a little different.
Yeah, this book is written by Elisa Whitney and drawn by Mike Norton. And yeah, I liked it. I don't know. It felt a little different than what I expected.
Yeah.
It felt more like a chaotic X-Men book, like a young X-Men book than.
It also weirdly has a character that made me think of Cyclops.
Yeah. The character you're speaking of was basically exactly Cyclops, but with
different issues.
Mystic rogue powers instead of blasters coming out of his face. Even looks like him.
You should still not take his shades off because it's a peeve.
And like Cyclops, he's a dick.
I'm sensing a pattern here.
Yeah. But this book features Zatanna, Cyclops, Faust, Enchantress,
and
some weird Indian dude with a magic ruby.
Yeah. Sargon, I think is his last name.
Yeah. And then we had, the more senior people as Madame Xanadu and a few others.
Mr. E.
Yes, Mr. E. In case you didn't catch that pun. But yeah, it was a good book.
God.
It was there's an overarching theme that seems to be a little darker in tone, but like the tone for the initial book is very sort of lighthearted, almost Scooby-Doo-esque.
A little bit.
And there were some things I was like, shouldn't you be a little more concerned about that than you are, especially as a person that didn't realize that the magic was real until recently?
Yeah.
There's some parts of the writing that I'm like, ooh, I don't think that's a normal reaction to any of this, and I don't feel like should I say it about her dad?
Yeah.
All right, it happens in the beginning of the book, in the very beginning, so it's not too much of a spoiler.
Right.
But she sends her dad to hell on accident.
Right.
Cursing her dad in backwards English.
In her first fit of magical rage.
Unintentional. Just
completely
complaining during their performance or whatever.
Much like an...
But she gets picked up by her dad's friend, and she goes to this university and just completely forgets that her dad's in hell. So, like, nothing happened. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Like, just lives her life,
The way that she addresses that or even brings that up later also kind of calls into question, how are you not making more of a big deal about this?
Like, if I didn't know better, I would say this is a Mr. Miracle moment where it's all an altered reality and you don't know what's real. Is he in hell? Zap, 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 zap.
Like, is it messing with my mind?
Yeah.
What's happening here?
So I don't know. There's some things I was like, ooh, that's not really.
It's
That
like,
doesn't make sense.
like, wait a minute.
That doesn't seem to be realistic. Okay. On an emotional level, that doesn't seem to work very well.
Right.
But otherwise, it was a fun book. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it works as a going to college story, which
Yeah.
is basically what this is, apart from the whole, sending your dad to hell on accident thing.
I probably won't pick it up again, at least unless I hear something great about it. Because it's a very thick book, which is great, but they also charge you twice the price. So
Yeah.
it's a $6 book,
Points off on
like
that
Doomsday Clock.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't feel like the quality is quite there.
Yeah.
For the amount of money they're going to need every month for these releases.
Yeah, I think the money issue particularly is the thing that would probably turn me off completely, because that's not a business practice I want to encourage.
Now, to be fair, it is a huge book. It's a very thick book, so they are giving you what you're paying for. It's just
It's just
on a book that started. This is essentially 2 issues in one,
Yeah.
and for 2 issues to start, that kind of like kind of good, but kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's hard for me to commit to it, but the art is nice. There are cool characters and premises in this, and most importantly, they put the barcode on the back.
Hey, they're
Yeah,
learning.
Good job, DC.
Yeah.
But that's probably because this is going to be a Vertigo title eventually, if I had to guess.
Yeah, probably. We'll see how much goes back to Vertigo.
So, anything else?
Let's see, what else did I read? I read. Still trying to get myself caught up on X-Men, and I found
Gold?
X-Men Gold, yes. Specifically the title that brings back Omega Red, and
I will break you.
does Vidanya.
Yeah, different Russian there.
Yeah, only a little. The thing that I really noticed in this issue, which I think it's number 10, is the writer. The writer is Mark Guggenheim, and it is very obvious, specifically with the things from Russian culture and things that happen over in Russia, that he decided to put in this book, basically using the excuse that the X-Men have 2 Russians on the team.
I wonder why Mr. Googly Eyes has an issue with Russians.
I have no idea, but it's very clear that this guy wrote for Arrow because of the things that he's decided to use, like the Bratva and the leader of the Bratva called the Pachan, which...
Okay.
Did we really need to do this time? Did we really need to make it very obvious that you have been and still write for Arrow at this point? I mean, don't get me wrong. Omega Red as a villain is something that will always remind me of the 90s. And I always have a soft spot for that. But a lot of the writing, specifically the way that they've directed this, seems a bit like he's recycling things.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. But it's very action-packed, which I kind of dug in this one. And I haven't even finished the issue yet, but it seems like it's just like all of the other issues before it. It's trying to go through things very quickly, resolve things very quickly, and then move on to some other conflict for the next issue.
Yeah.
And if you're into that kind of thing, X-Men Gold is the book for you. I personally like my conflicts drawn out a little more than like 1 to 2 issues.
So you've been following this book for a little while. You think you're going to drop it?
I mean, I might here soon.
What about Blue? Are you still keeping up with Blue at all?
Blue, I have actually more catching up to do with that one than I do with Gold.
Yeah.
And I think I might drop Gold to pick up Blue at this point.
Yeah. For me personally, as a guy that doesn't read a whole lot of Marvel because I'm DC fanboy,
Oh, yeah.
admittedly.
Wearing a Spider-Man hoodie.
Yeah, shout out to my brother-in-law who gave this to me, by the way.
Hey!
I thought X-Men Blue was kind of cool because it's kind of, the team out of time context, the classic team. And it's always cool to see the classic team together,
The original 5 brought to the current day because current day Beast is still a science bastard.
Whereas Gold, it has a lot of the things I don't like about the Marvel Universe right now, where they have Old Man Logan and just, a cast of characters out of place, out of time, out of universe. I don't know.
It's got a bit too much as opposed to just having this one core thing with this one issue.
Yeah, it's just too much admixture that I don't think lends itself well to readership. I don't know.
At least continued readership, because things tend to get a bit screwy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'm just going to start picking up Blue and see how that goes.
So anything else? You said you were watching the new Daredevil on Netflix.
Not Daredevil, Punisher.
Punisher, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. Daredevil's the old one that I still haven't finished.
One day.
One day.
Yeah. Which, hell, you might end up finishing that before you ever watch Suicide Squad.
Accurate. Who needs to see an Oscar-winning movie to know it's good?
Right.
I know it's good.
Right.
It won an Oscar.
It won an Oscar for hair, makeup, and design.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, Punisher, the show, was great and terribly depressing. I don't think I've ever been more entertained and more thankful that my family's still alive. All in the binging of one television series. My God. Do they really hammer home the point that Frank Castle's kids and wife are dead?
Suck it up, Buttercup. They're gone.
It's like every episode. Every episode, they at least talk about it once.
Bludgeon you over the head with it.
Like, oh, they're still dead.
It's not fun like Batman. Batman goes, my parents are dead. I was a boy.
And now I'm a bat. Thank you, Pete Holmes, for really driving home the ridiculousness of that character. But yeah, this one is like John Bernthal, the guy who actually plays the Punisher, really nails like all of the ferocity and intensity needed for this character.
I love everything he's in. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like
he plays. He's kind of a role actor, but he does it well. So
yeah, he does. Fun fact: he really wanted to do like a romantic comedy.
Really?
But all of the studios that wanted to do one, they looked at him and looked
You're
at
too typecast.
They looked. No, they specifically looked at his face and they were like, "Nah." Make a bunch of money being a superhero. This romantic comedy thing, it's not in your face. Which is a shame because of how well he's done with like all of the other things that he's done, mostly comic book related. I had almost seen anything with him in it.
Yeah, I'll give it a watch before too long. I gotta get caught up on all this stuff. Do you think I need to watch Daredevil and all that stuff first? Because quite honestly, I don't care about the other ones.
Honestly, it doesn't. Well, it actually doesn't reference like almost anything from the part of the Daredevil series where he actually shows up.
All right, I'll watch it. Let's review. Look forward to that.
Yeah, look forward to that review.
Punisher is like top 3 or 4 favorite Marvel characters for me, whereas Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist, I'm like, kind of bottom of the totem pole for me, personally.
Yeah, I always had a soft spot for Jessica Jones. I've always been into like Private Eye or detective stories.
Yeah,
and she really like nails that one, especially with the I'm a private eye with a really fucked up past.
I've heard nothing but good things, so eventually I'll get to it. But
yeah,
I
that
might
one's
skip Iron Fist. we'll see.
Yeah, you don't need to watch it. Yeah, that was all I read. What about you?
Well, we talked about Mystic U already. I continue to read Lock and Key because it is awesome, and
still have yet to pick that up myself.
I highly recommend it. There's several volumes out.
Oh, buddy.
Go read it. But I bring that up because the co-creator and artist for Lock and Key, Gabriel Rodriguez, has just released the first issue of his latest comic that he's been working on since about 2013, 2014, according to the interview in the book. And it's called Sword of Ages, and it's been published by IDW. And again, IDW does nothing but variants, so it's hard to tell when they actually release something new. This one's literally labeled issue variant A, even though it's the first printing of the first issue.
Oh my god.
So just to make things confusing for you.
That is how deeply entrenched in variants they are.
I think that's something we need to add to our list of comic improvements.
Yeah.
But they do everything else right. Small label, no barcode, showing the art. This book, Sword of Ages, I'll say the artwork is great from the beginning.
All right.
You might
artwork's good.
You might see where I'm going with this. It is a very original-ish idea, but I feel like he took every single sci-fi / fantasy thing he could think of and just ripped them all off at the same time.
How?
In this book, there are elements of, like The Legend of Zelda, with Mad Max, with, like, I don't know, so many things. Planet of the Apes, and just any kind of martial arts movie you can think of, and just,
oh my god,
Jurassic Park. Like, everything is in this book in some way, shape, or form.
That's already like 3 too many.
And it breeds this really kind of nonsensical story to an extent. Even like Jungle Book, is the main character is raised by fucking lions.
What?
So
oh my!
It's
what
literally
is this book?
Even Star Trek with the giant squid in space, or whatever, jellyfish.
Is it too many things?
But it's just all over the place, and my problem with it is that none of it is original. It's all just stuff from other creations that have been put in the same world, and the main character isn't particularly likable, and a lot of the elements of the character's origin just conveniently happen, and you're left kind of wondering, like, well, what happened? Like, how did this possibly manifest itself, but yeah, literally everything I just said in there, even Borderlands, the video game, it has strong elements in this book. Like,
too many cooks.
This is a book where everybody's running around riding beasts and throwing spears, but for some reason this guy has a big futuristic motorcycle that shoots lasers and plasma and
What?
and they're taking drugs to have psychedelic trips, and there's guardians for like different formations, like the lake and the mountains, and this girl's raised by animals, and there's a slave trade going on, and there's people in the quote Badlands, another ripoff.
Oh my god!
Everything in this book is a ripoff, and it's so all over the place. It just doesn't make sense. Even like Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, they try to form a ragtag group to go on a quest, at the very the very end, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this supposed to be?
Too many cooks.
Yeah.
Too many cooks.
So
I know
wanna
it takes a lot to make a stew, but god damn.
I want to support Gabriel Rodriguez because he does such great work with Lock and Key, specifically as the artist. And he, again, knocks it out of the park with great original art in this book. It's a feast for the eyes, and it is a thick book to start. I don't know if all the books are going to be like this, but this is another $5.99 book that is twice as thick, So it costs a pretty penny. I would say don't get it. Because even though there's a lot of setup, it doesn't look too promising, and it really lacks in originality. It really does feel like some guy who's just a fan of all of these things trying to shove them all together in one book,
Yeah, I mean, Ready Player One's already a thing.
So that was a little bit of a bummer. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up all the comic book content I've read, which brings me to our latest and greatest segment. Did the content match the drapes?
Da da da.
Last week we had 2 issues. One we couldn't catch up on. The other one was an annual, so it's a one-off, and we were able to read it very easily. This one being... Let me get the right comic here. This one being Batman Annual number 2 from DC Comics, of course. And this one was created by Tom King and Lee Weeks. Tom King being the writer we're going to shout out today. What did you think, Emery?
Manual, my God. I never thought I would ever use the term adorable when it comes to a story about Batman.
Yeah.
But Tom King, in his ever-burgeoning wisdom, has somehow managed to find a way.
Yeah. This book... This book was cute, to say the least. It's nothing you haven't seen before from the whole Batman and Catwoman dynamic. And literally certain lines in here are taken directly from things that have happened in the past and I've seen in previous comics. Not really anything original, but it's very cute and it's framed in a cute way. I don't know.
Yeah, this story is actually one very familiar theme basically taken to its logical conclusion.
Yeah. There was a little bit at the end. It didn't make the story bad. It doesn't hurt the content whatsoever.
Not
it was
at
just
all.
a peeve of mine where they had a cameo in the crowd and a little crowd shot they had towards the end there. And
Ooh.
they ignored Batman Beyond.
Ooh.
Which to me is a sin.
Ooh.
We need Terry. In a specific future scene. So
as much as I like Terry McGinnis, I only see him as an Elseworlds character.
But he's not. Future's End established this.
Yeah, which...
And so did Rebirth when they converged everything.
Oh, God damn it.
But yeah, this is obviously the Tom King interpretation of these worlds,
Right.
I highly doubt that the conclusion that happened is going to happen in the main line right now. They've set it up, but if you know Batman, it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, and if it is connected, then maybe our favorite young Batman is somewhere off screen, doing the job.
Right. Even though there's another character doing the job.
To be fair, a lot of people in Gotham are doing the job.
Also fair. Including a character that should not be in this world.
Son of a bitch.
Your stupid red hair and your glasses. Get out of here. Get out of my book. No.
Get out of
but
here.
It was great. It was great. It's a one-off issue. It's a thick issue. Again, $5.99.
Yeah, it was worth the money.
But it's an annual, so you expect that. Batman Annual number 2. Again, shout out to Tom King and Lee Weeks. Great art, great cover art, and good writing.
Yeah.
Nothing too explosive or original, but good writing.
Right.
A nice cohesive story with good dialogue.
Yes.
Although I found it extremely funny because every time he would read a certain line of dialogue that would sound cute and like acceptable in a normal voice, I was reading in the Batman voice. But you're a criminal. Squeak. It made the comics so much funnier to me. I don't know. I had trouble. Like, there was some heartfelt moments in it, but instead of like being hit by them, I was just like kind of giggling to myself.
I'm not going to forget to turn off the light. I forgot. I'm so sorry.
Oh, man. But, yeah, I would say this week, thumbs up, content match the drapes.
Oh, yeah,
nothing
definitely.
out of this world, not going to blow your socks off or anything, but...
Yeah, I just got to say, Tom King is just knocking it out of the park with just about everything that he's had to write for.
He's easily the best new writer they've had since they added him in the middle of the New 52, as far as I remember. I don't think he did anything before Grayson, which I will, as good as as good as he writes, I will never forgive him for fucking Grayson. Because the advertisement for it, did you see the big advertisement where it says, "You don't know Dick," and it shows Grayson with a big G on his chest, holding out a pistol towards the spectator.
I remember that.
None of this is Dick Grayson. The joke is stupid and inappropriate. The big G on his chest doesn't really help him hide his identity, and he's pointing a fucking pistol. The disciple of Batman. Why? There's great book, wrong character to do it with.
Sometimes you gotta let your kids go.
You don't know Dick. Like, fuck off.
It's like, actually, yes, I do. I've known Dick quite... Oh, son of a bitch. I see what you did here. I know Richard Grayson very well, sir. Talking about I don't know Dick.
But yeah, other than that, having to use that character for that premise, he's been great. But I suspect it's Jeff Johns' fault that he had to use Dick Grayson, because Jeff Johns wanted to kill Dick Grayson.
Oh,
and Forever Evil, because Jeff Johns hates Dick Grayson, and I hate Jeff Johns for hating Dick Grayson. Go fuck yourself. Obviously, good writer. He has some good events, some bad events, but he hates Dick Grayson, and I don't know why. I wish he would stop. He keeps trying to ruin and murder and beat the shit out of Dick Grayson. Leave Dick alone.
If you just, blind him with some, Green Lantern light.
Throat punch Jeff Johns.
Just, just keep him distracted. Keep him occupied. Just don't let him know what's happening with Nightwing.
Yeah, definitely. But Tom King, like Emery said, keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with Mr. Miracle.
Please.
Give us that good Miracle.
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
The Miracle's so good.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I need more of it.
And with that, let's get into the news.
Hey.
First up, this one's kind of fun. Marvel's Monsters Unleashed number 8, released 2 weeks ago.
They're still on that.
Had several misprints in the issue where pages from Luke Cage were accidentally placed in the intended Monsters Unleashed pages.
What?
Marvel has announced that it will ship replacements to all the retailers at no cost and advises fans to return the issues to their local comic shops. I would say don't do it. I will tell you why soon. No timetable has been released for the replacements.
So they're not doing it.
Probably not. So that's one reason why not to return them. Second reason is this will probably be valuable. It's like when they mint a coin the wrong way and print the wrong letter on it or something. Those coins immediately gain like $100 worth of value, to coin collectors.
Yeah.
I imagine this will be a similar situation with comic collectors. Maybe not quite as much because Monsters Unleashed not the greatest comic in the world, but especially at number 8.
It's still a glaring Marvel fuck up.
Yeah,
that you can actually encase in however you want to frame your comic.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna look out and see if I can find one with the wrong pages in it.
Oh,
it wasn't all the prints of number 8, but some versions of the prints got shipped with the wrong pages in it, and Marvel blamed it on a printer issue. Whatever.
Like, sure it was. But like that one and the Luke Cage comic. Yeah, I would definitely look out for both of those.
Yeah.
To like have the complete set of Marvel fuck up.
So don't return it. If you want to know what happened in the issue, just get the digital version.
Right.
Hold on to the physical one because it'll probably be valuable at some point.
Oh yeah.
So that's just a fun little story from Marvel. Next up, this is the biggest news probably. Avengers Infinity War has released its first trailer to a record-breaking viewership on YouTube.
Oh, buddy.
Millions upon millions of people have watched this trailer. No surprise there.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
When it comes to this movie, I like how they basically set this up as not a type of movie where we're going to get all of the heroes against all of the villains, which they could have easily have done.
Yeah.
They have made it very clear that this is going to be solely about how all of them deal with this one fucker. Thanos, as some of you know, as the wrinkle chin dude in the chair, has somehow in this trailer managed to show up with much less clothing than we've seen him in before.
Yeah, that's been the big meme point for a lot of people. Like they have Thanos as the guy from Pawn Stars, offering $350 for the Infinity Stones and stuff. I don't know.
I only got $280. Okay, $295. Deal.
Yeah, he really does look like the guy from Pawn Stars though, because he's got the chin that looks like a goatee and the bald head. I don't see why they just didn't give him his armor.
Right?
Why? He's a CG blob. You don't. Why does he need to have the CG purple head?
Now, here's my thing for that. While everyone who knows Thanos immediately associates him with his iconic look, the weird big gold lined, the helmet that gives him eyebrows and the weird fanned out shoulders.
Yeah.
That's all very iconic. But I think they went the very logical route of, what the hell would you even need to feel like wearing armor for when you have the most powerful thing in the universe?
But that's the thing. He's already worn it.
That's true.
Every cameo we've seen of him up to this point, he's been wearing it.
Yeah, he's worn it every single time.
You're about to go into a fight. Why wouldn't you wear it? There's no reason not to wear it.
Oh, well, maybe there's one reason. He doesn't see it as a fight.
But come on, that's so stupid.
I mean, yeah.
Him sitting in his fucking throne by himself, doing nothing but floating through space. He feels the need to wear the helmet, but he takes it off for the fight. That's stupid. Come on. Doesn't make any sense. I think it was just they didn't want to animate it. That's a heavy dose of CG. It's cheaper not to do it. We're already paying all these fucking actors for this movie. Let's make it a little cheaper on ourselves. Don't wear the helmet.
Now
He has the gauntlet on
well,
during this scene, but he doesn't have the fucking helmet or the armor.
Well, I mean, here's the thing with that, though. He's already just a CGI monster. Why not, since it's all going to be CGI, not just have that a part of the model that they already have?
Because when you have the armor on, it allows the viewer to go, oh, it's shiny because it's armor. When you don't have armor and the CG is just skin, and it's very early pre-production CG in the trailer, because the movie's not going to release for a while, it looks like butt. And Thanos looks like shit in this trailer. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think his CG looks just as bad as the Justice League trailer CG did. And it's pretty much on par. Like,
I
especially
mean,
with the helmet, you can hide a lot.
Yeah.
You can hide a lot with shiny things.
That's true. That is very true.
Unless there's a narrative reason, like somebody punched him hard enough to knock his helmet off or something. Fine, that's cool. But why did you feature the ugly, like hard to convince, CG where there's that uncanny valley where you're like, oh, that looks like a blob.
Yeah, and I mean
that's a weird wet blob of a head.
It's the same issue with Steppenwolf in the Justice League,
but he wears a helmet,
but
so it hides a lot.
Yeah,
they don't have to animate a big bald shiny head of flesh. It's just a little bit of his face and then a big gaudy helmet that you can convince audiences is metallic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Small gripe, not a big deal, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's a gripe that's going to
get... It's a valid gripe, I think.
Yeah, it's a gripe that's honestly, once the movie actually comes out, is going to be lost in the sea of, oh my god, they're all together in one movie.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Now, I'm just going to shoot my opinion out there. Of all of the trailers from the Marvel Cinematic Universe that I've seen, for me, honestly, even though I expected it to be like the most hype worthy, like over the top, maybe it's just because I had high expectations, but this is like probably the weakest trailer from them I've seen.
There's a reason for that.
I mean, it's just, granted, it's such a huge movie in scope because we have all these separate teams doing different things, but I feel like the tone of the trailer was just like, the transitions were bad, and like obviously the CG is early stages, just like the Justice League, and although I anticipate Marvel will get on top of it, unlike Justice League.
Yeah, they have the money to do that.
It looks bad, and they used a lot of CG for the trailer, like the Spider-Man looking like Gumby on the giant snake thing, and Thanos and his weird shiny bald head, and his scrotum chin, and just a lot of weird looking stuff, and like weird lined like framing in the trailer, where usually Marvel's much more on top of this. I don't know, and I felt like there just wasn't that beat for beat, like rhythm. That's what it is. There was no rhythm to the trailer,
right?
And like the end scene, which you would think would be like a great like whoa, ending to the trailer, but it was just like edited so awkwardly,
Yeah.
Who are you guys? Pause. Cut.
Yeah, that was a very weird like dead air moment.
Yeah. Now normally I only watch like the first trailer for a movie, maybe a second if I catch it on TV or something, and then I try to avoid everything because I don't want anything spoiled for me, and it's worked out pretty well for me. That's probably what I'm going to do with this, but I feel like I'm going to need to watch the second trailer to see if it is just this like off rhythm.
Yeah. No, the biggest reason why the trailer is honestly kind of shoddily thrown together as it is because from what I've heard, it's mostly just updated clips from the movie that are spliced into what they've already played during I'm not sure if it was San Diego Comic-Con or like the Disney 23 thing that they do, but people have already seen this before.
Okay.
Technically, there's just more stuff that they added on to it for this one. That the way that the dialogue is done in this trailer is almost, from what I've heard, beat for beat what they've done already.
Okay.
So this is not their best work, honestly. This was...
I feel like if that's the case, though, you would just hold it back, because it's kind of cannibalizing the attention for Star Wars, which is another Disney property.
Right.
So now people are focused on this trailer instead of what they should be focused on, which is Star Wars, which is coming out very soon.
Well, this is very... what's the word? It's very evident that through their cannibalizing of the attention, that they honestly they've kind of assumed with Star Wars that people are just going to show up.
Yeah, but shouldn't they assume that with Avengers too and just hold the trailer? Doesn't that make sense to wait until you have a really well-made trailer?
Yeah.
People are going. You don't have to advertise it a year ahead of time, you know?
You're not wrong with that.
Hold your load.
It's like...
Premature cinematography here. All over the screen. Just exploding all over the screen.
My explanation for this is there were two shots that they wanted everyone to see.
Team Brains versus Team Gains?
You damn right.
Yeah. I did not create this, by the way. This came from a Podcast Beyond Facebook thread that somebody made a meme for, which I'll post here.
Yeah.
I would give credit to the person, but it got passed through several hands, and I have no idea who was the original. But
yeah. With that said,
very funny.
That was very well put together. Whoever did it.
And not wrong.
Yeah, they managed to put those two teams together hilariously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know what you're doing. But yeah, that is, in my mind and in my honest opinion, what the people who were behind this trailer really wanted to put out there were those shots.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it would have been a lot better if they had made it like a bonus to going to Star Wars. Like,
they should have done that.
Without premiering it, without telling anybody. Like, for the first week of the release of Star Wars, because, that's when the majority of people are going to see it initially.
Yeah.
Have that trailer as the first thing you see before the movie. Like, trailer. Oh, what's this?
Oh, yeah.
What's this?
I would have...
Blow your brains movie.
Like...
And so you have that initial, great feeling going straight into Star Wars,
The effect of that would have been monumental.
Yeah. So... someone needs to contact their marketing department, get their shit together.
Yeah.
Because that was a miss.
That was a
big
fucking
miss.
Wasted opportunity.
You could have made that great for everybody. People will remember that for 20 years.
Right?
They wouldn't forget something like that. So
it's like, oh.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I'd say put it at the premiere, then a week or two later, show it on YouTube, for anybody who didn't see it.
Right.
Because, whatever.
Yeah, that would have been the fucking talk of the town. Every town.
But yeah, anything else to add about the trailer?
Hopefully the next one's better.
I'm sure the movie will be great, but... yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's going to. They just... this was not the best way they could have sold this.
For sure. Next up... the first images of Brenton Thwaites.
Thwaites?
He's
Twite like a tiger.
As Dick Grayson's Robin in the DC Digital streaming app show Titans has been released. What do you think?
I gotta say, I really like this Robin costume.
I thought it looked awesome.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really good. I'd say the domino mask looks a little weird. It looks like somebody cut really, really thin rubber and just slapped it on his face. And it's like, oh, that looks awkward. Turn your head. Turn your head to the side so they can't tell.
Yeah. Honestly, I thought it was small.
Yeah.
Phrasing.
Dick is small.
Easy joke.
Enough dick jokes for one podcast.
For one podcast episode.
Yeah. But I thought it looked great.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that worries me is I thought he was supposed to be Nightwing. Maybe this is a flashback Robin or something, but
that's what I'm
it
assuming.
was advertised that he was going to be exclusively Nightwing for Titans, and
yeah. For some reason, it seems like they're going to, as with a lot of DC TV, Arrow, I'm looking at you, flashbacks are going to happen to kind of flesh out this character. And
Yeah.
It's like, oh, for those who aren't like initiated or have literally been living under a rock for the last 75 years, we need to explain who Robin is.
So, I don't know. I thought it looked awesome. Again, they're sending this show to die on their exclusive streaming app.
Oh.
And it breaks my heart because it looks like they're doing everything right. They're getting a great cast. The suits look great. They're not CG.
Yeah.
They're doing everything I want.
Except for
Except for
one thing that would
putting it-
actually make this show last.
Just like Star Trek Discovery, man.
Oh.
They're killing that show by making it exclusive to that stupid CBS app.
Oh.
Stop it. Stop trying to extort us into spending more money on your stupid app.
Just let us watch it on
We
like,
already
a
paid for your
broadcast
fucking
TV.
channel on TV.
Right.
Let us watch it normally, please.
Oh.
What's the worst about this is this was supposed to be on TNT. It was supposed to be on television.
Right.
And they took it away and said, fuck you. We're putting it on our new app.
We're going to make you pay for this one.
So
Which is like, God.
that's sad
Damn
because
it.
I'm so excited for this, and I think it's gonna be great, but it's just gonna die a slow, painful death.
And you know what's going to hurt the most? Actually having to pay for it just to watch this show. Because you know we're going to have to review it.
And along with our adult Harley Quinn, great.
Oh my God.
Next up, a trailer for the Batman Ninja digital anime from Japan has been released.
Oh, sweet. Is Batman a ninja in this one?
No, he's a fucking samurai.
What? How?
So this is from Japan, by the way. I don't know if the English translation was just bad, but they made Batman, who in the comics and the movies is basically a ninja, trained by ninjas, a samurai.
Japan, you had one job.
Gave it the title Batman, Ninja.
What? I don't think I've ever been more angry at someone making me so goddamn confused.
Now, if you've seen this trailer, go check it out. It has a cool stylish element to it, but it's that digital animation where all the animations look just really weird and frame by frame. It feels like it's going really slow frame by frame. It's like something recorded in 30 frames per second and then it's broadcast in 24. So it just looks jerky and slow.
That's weird.
And that's just all this digital animation nowadays. They're trying to get it as close to real animation as possible, but they're failing because it's just this weird PlayStation 2 graphic looking,
Oh,
I don't know.
Not that.
And then they have the weird samurai aesthetic in a ninja series, where Joker and Batman are both samurais and they have Robin as a kid but bald with that samurai pattern.
Wait, but why though?
Reasons. I don't know. And then the people that actually are ninjas, Nightwing and I'm guessing Tim Drake Robin, for reasons. And trained by a samurai.
What?
Because reasons.
Because
and
this
they
works,
have
right?
and they're in the feudal era of Japan. But at some point they get mechs because it looked cool. I was like, all right, I can kind of get past the animation and the weird quirks and the weird, stupid title that's not accurate. But then they start showing mechs and jets and stuff. And I'm like,
Because Japan?
what is going on in this stupid thing? So
Like, if you want to have a guy who's basically Batman, who lives with, a
oh, and he's got a butler.
Yeah,
He's got an English-looking butler
of course he does.
with the samurai and everything next to him in the feudal era of Japan.
If you want Batman piloting a mech, you watch Big O. That anime already exists. Why in the... you know what? Japan...
It's just weird.
Japan, you crazy.
It looks like it could be really cool or the worst. And there's really nothing in between.
Yeah.
So,
God.
I don't know.
Messing with my mind.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
I guess we will.
And final news item. Kind of ended on a downer. I really like to end on downers, don't I?
Yeah,
I need to
God,
stop
we've
doing that.
we've had a thing with that.
The executive producer, Andrew Kreisberg, of the Flash and Supergirl TV series, has been fired following an internal investigation of several sexual harassment claims filed against him. And apparently this has been going on for several years, but again, because of his status, his power, his placement on the show, his importance to the show,
No one spoke up until now.
well, they spoke up. It's just HR was like, oh, yeah, we'll get to checking it pretty soon, like a lot of these companies. And unfortunately, they finally did the investigation, suspended him while they did it, and because of all the other things going on, and basically the foundations of Hollywood toppling.
Yeah.
And apparently their internal investigation found that it warranted serious action, so they fired him immediately. So, kind of sucks, because he was a really well-liked and well-respected, guy for fans who had done great work for The Flash and Supergirl once Supergirl came to CW.
Yeah.
The
Flash is my favorite DC TV show. And it fucking sucks to hear that
I miss Smallville.
Somebody
save me.
No.
Aww.
It had its time.
It was great.
It was.
It was the original CW show.
It was.
Before CW was CW.
It set the tone. And God damn it, why did, of all of the shows that could have had something like this happen, The Flash?
Yeah.
God!
I mean, nobody's invulnerable. Apparently, there's these fucking skeeve
Right.
pieces of shit at every level, man. I keep trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, well, innocent until proven guilty. These are accusations, and it seems like most of them are just like things they said, that were inappropriate for the office or whatever. But then you get the truth out of them, and they admit it. And like, there's internal investigations that confirm it, and there's emails, and there's like filed reports and complaints coming from several people, and you're just like,
it just seems like there's more. And
Matt Lauer now, and just like all of these
like
people,
more
Louis C.K., Matt Lauer,
and it gets worse and
oh my
worse.
God, everybody!
It's like that whole business.
You either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Oh man, Hollywood elites. Quit being fucking slime bags.
It's fucking top
God,
to bottom.
You're killing dreams here.
Like, just because you've made a ton of money doing something that millions of people wish that they could do does not give you a free pass to be the worst fucking person in the world. God damn it.
We've already talked extensively about this.
We have.
On a previous episode, I think 11 or 10 or somewhere around there.
It just sucks that we had to bring it up again.
But it makes me so angry because I was the one trying to do the right thing and be like, all right, a lot of these are just claims. Let's keep our pitchforks and torches at bay for just a second until we get confirmation.
Yeah.
And then confirmation for basically all of them. I'm like, fuck. I think only one person has denied the accusations, and it was George Takei. That's the only one I can remember of all of them that denied anything.
I don't know if any...
Kevin Spacey tried to hide it by announcing he was gay to try to like overshadow the news, but he failed dramatically.
Yeah, no.
Like,
ooh.
Just it's so gross.
Oh.
Across the board, man.
Fucking top to bottom.
Oh, well. Well, that, my friends, is the news. Sorry for the downer.
Well, now that we're done with that, Chris, what books are we hitting up this week?
Well, Emery, I thought you'd never ask. Oh, as always, we read you the newest releases coming to your comic book shops and digital devices this week. We always use freshcomics.us. I want to make sure I give them credit because I always forget, but they are a great resource. I'm going to put a button on our webpage that goes directly to them just to help you out. So go to my webpage, htbvids.com, to go there if you don't remember what it is. Otherwise, you can go straight to freshcomics.us. Make sure it's .us. Because it's a great comic book resource, and it literally tells you all the releases coming that have been announced for the next 5 years, and you can go back and see what was previously released.
Oh yeah.
So
along with that, it doesn't just give you like the Marvel, DC image, and like maybe one or two. It gives you all of them.
It gives you everything, including like some mangas and stuff. So
yeah,
it's a great resource. Definitely check it out.
Oh yeah.
First up, from Marvel Comics. Now, I want to say we have a lot of great covers this week. So when we do our covers and variant covers of the week segment, there was some tough competition, unlike last week. Last week was a very light week, I think, because of Thanksgiving and stuff.
Yeah.
But it was just a lot of annuals and nonsense comics and variants. This week, there's a lot of great comics out.
Yeah.
And a lot of great covers to go along with it. So
this is quite the switch.
Shout out to this week, because it was a very strong week. First up, from Marvel Comics, we have Astonishing X-Men number 6. We have Avengers number 674. Another cool comic cover for both of those. We have Black Bolt number 8. We have Captain America number 696.
Wait a minute.
Notice he's getting shot. Captain America's not bulletproof. And he's defending himself with
a sword?
What?
I think maybe we might have forgotten something, guys.
Yeah, there's some inconsistencies going on here.
Only a little.
Next up, we have Doctor Strange, number 382. Another cool cover. We have Guardians of the Galaxy, number 148. We have Gwenpool, number 23. We have Hawkeye, number 13. Another cool cover.
Oh, yeah.
We have Iceman, number 8. We have Inhumans, Once and Future Kings, number 5. We have Iron Fist, number 75. Couldn't give a shit about Iron Fist. Cool cover. We have Spider-Man, number 235. We have Spirits of Vengeance, number 3. We have Star Wars, Darth Vader, number 9. We have The Amazing Spider-Man Cross Venom, Venom Inc. Alpha, number 1. We have X-Men Gold, number 17. And I just want to say, I apologize, folks, if any outside shouting or anything is going on. Oh, so you just won the Big Ten championship, and
yes, they did.
And the Buckeyes are going crazy around us because we're in Columbus, Ohio. Woo!
Woo!
Next up, DC Comics. We have Bane Conquest, number 8. We have Batman, number 36. We have Batman Cross Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, number 1.
Oh, wait a minute. Had a
And
secret of the use.
And based on the cover, I think Donatello's going to get broken by Bane. Because that is a very terrified looking Donatello, and that is a very angry looking Bane.
To be fair, Bane always looks angry and always has to break someone. And it might be Donatello this time.
Now, if you haven't read the first Batman
Ninja
Turtles crossover, it was great. It was a lot of fun. I have all the issues. Love the art. Fun story.
It's very well done.
It's worth picking up. I'll probably pick up the first issue just to see what it's like. If it's as good as the other one. Next up, we got a big release. Book we carry on about all the time.
Yeah.
We have Batman White Knight #3.
Ooh.
Woo!
Oh, yeah. They're riding this train all the way to the end.
Sean Murphy.
Yeah.
That one from Sean Murphy. So, and it has a cool variant to go along with it.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
My favorite surprise about the first issue. Was it the first issue or the second issue?
That was the second issue.
Second issue, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite surprise about the second issue is the variant. Next up, we have Black Lightning, Cold Dead Hands, #2. Get it? Because he's black.
I swear to God.
We talked about this. Just call him Lightning.
Not just that, but I really want someone in that comic, like just as part of the dialogue, to say, you know, for a guy named Black Lightning, your lightning is actually very white.
And your costume is very blue. Literally nothing is black about you
except for your face,
your skin.
Yeah,
like,
and that's a brown.
I think we need to update that name, DC.
Yeah,
let's bring it to the 21st century.
Yeah, like, didn't we call him Vulcan for a while?
Fuck it, I'll call him Static Shock. I don't care.
Please bring back Static Shock.
Woo!
Woo!
Next up, Bombshells United, #7. We have Cyborg, #19. Seeming to not be able to take a bullet. He's made of metal.
I think they forgot how Cyborg works.
We have DC Universe Holiday Special 2017, #1.
Hey.
We have Dastardly and Muttley, #4. We have Deadman, #2. We have Deathstroke, #26. We have Green Arrow, #35. Another great cover. We have Green Lanterns, #36. We have Harley and Ivy Meet Betty and Veronica, #3. We have Injustice 2, #15. We have Justice League, #34. We have Nightwing, #34. This time getting his ass kicked by nature. Because every cover of Nightwing has to have him getting killed, murdered, or getting his ass kicked.
I mean, it's
because
obvious.
Because Jeff Johns hates Nightwing.
Jeff Johns thinks that Nightwing is unnatural. That's what this is. Birds.
Every other hero in comic cover gets a fun, like, heroic cover or something, you know, posing, whatever. Nightwing, every single cover, getting his ass kicked.
He has to die.
Stop it. Next up, we have Superman, #36. And to round things out for DC, we have The Jetsons, #2.
I forgot that was a thing.
From Image Comics, we have Black Cloud, #6. We have Extremity, #9. We have Mirror, #9. We have Moonstruck, #4. We have #1 with a Bullet, #2. It's a book we talked about, I think, 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, every time I hear that title, I think of that band, Panic at the Disco.
Yeah, it's good setup, interesting setup. Wasn't really going in a direction I liked, but it could surprise me. So I'll probably pick up an issue 2. We'll see. We have Paper Girls, #18. We have Rock Candy Mountain, #6. We have Savage Dragon, #229. We have Scales and Scoundrels, number 4. We have Stray Bullets, Sunshine and Roses, number 30. We have The Fix, another cool cover, number 10. We have The Grave Diggers Union, number 2. We have The Walking Dead, number 174. Jeez, Image has a strong week.
Yeah, they do.
We have Throwaways, number 10. We have Witchblade, number 1.
Ooh, is it my birthday?
And that wraps up Image Comics. From Boom Studios, we have Adventure Time, number 71. We have Giant Days, number 33. We have Claus and the Crisis in Xmasville, number 1. Claus being that crazy Grant Morrison murder Santa comic
Okay,
from a few years ago.
You keep calling it Claus.
It's Claus.
But every time I see that name spelled with a K,
I
I'm
know.
going to call him Klaus.
It's Claus. It's Grant Morrison, so he needs to add a K. It's like Combat in Mortal Kombat.
Oh, come on.
Because he's a killer Claus. It's Barbarian Claus.
We don't need to spell things in Mortal Kombat-ese.
I read the first iteration of it, and it was fun, so it's probably going to be more fun. We have Rocco's Modern Life, number 1. We talked about this several weeks ago.
Yeah,
it's
been a
finally here.
while.
We have the Amory Wars, Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star for number 9.
What the hold on.
So stupid. I hate this. Every time I have to read this cover, I get angry.
Like I overheard you saying it, and like I was immediately taken aback by how fucking stupidly long this title is.
It's unnecessarily long. Now picture this title on the cover.
Oh.
Is there any art left?
Yeah, no.
Next up, we have The Power of the Dark Crystal, another cool cover, and cool variant cover from the artist of Monstrous. So, shout out to those covers. From Archie Comics, we have B&V Friends Winter Annual Digest, number 257. From Dark Horse Comics, we have Chimichanga, The Sorrow of the World's Worst Face, number 4. We have Rasputin, Voice of the Dragon, number 2. We have Usagi Yojimbo, number 164. From Valiant, we have Faith Winter Wonderland Special, number 1. From Aftershock Comics, we have Alters, number 8. From Scout Comics, we have Mindbender, number 5. From Lion Forge Comics, we have Catalyst Prime, Noble, number 3. From Vault Comics, we have Heathen, number 8. Another cool cover. And that is everything coming to your local comic book shops
Please support your local comic book shops.
and digital devices this week. Now it's time to hand out this prestigious, nay life-changing award of cover and variant cover of the week.
Ooh.
First up, our cover of the week goes to Hawkeye, number
Oh.
13, drawn by Julian Totino Tedesco.
I really, really like this cover.
It's a really fun cover. You see Hawkeye and female Hawkeye posing for their jail photos.
Yeah.
They're processing photos.
It's like
And,
seeing them both with like a fucked up face doing mud shots.
Yeah, looking pretty beat the fuck up and messing with each other. It's just a fun cover. It's done well. It looks nice. And it looks like a movie poster almost.
It does. It's like I'm imagining. It was like it has the feel of like this is what would happen if you somehow managed to get arrested alongside your dad.
Yeah. So this is going to be part 1 of this new line here. So probably going to pick it up. Again, number 13. Makes sense. Release 12 issues a year. New line starts every year. Makes sense. So this should be pretty fun. We'll see if Kelly Thompson and Leonardo Romero made the content as nice as the drapes next week. And again, really great week for covers and variant covers this week. So hands off to them. Knocking this out of the park. This is great.
This is very, very well done.
It's well done and fun.
Yes.
Hard thing to do sometimes. Next up, our variant cover of the week goes to Nightwing number 34.
Hey!
Cover by Yasmin Putri. Now, the main reason I like this cover is because Nightwing is doing the ass kicking and not getting his ass kicked.
That's also the main reason why I like this cover. I really appreciate this cover. One, doing something that hasn't been done with Nightwing as far as covers are concerned for a while, making him look heroic. And two, I like the interesting perspective that it had on it. It had kind of a, you are also a part of this group that are trying to go after Nightwing.
Yeah.
Which maybe that might be Jeff Johns' personal fantasy.
You know how you have those politicians that are really, really against gay marriage or something?
Yeah.
And then they got caught with a gay prostitute, you know, and their career falls apart or whatever, and they have to apologize and say that they were, you know, manipulated by something or whatever.
Right.
Whether it be supernatural or otherwise. I feel like Jeff Johns is that to Nightwing. He secretly adores Nightwing, but he can't bring himself to admit it.
And he can't let anyone see it.
He does everything he can to shit on Nightwing, and then one day it'll come out that he's just got a shrine to Dick Grayson all through his house. He's got a little private dungeon where it's just Nightwing covers and Robin covers and
oh God,
and crudely drawn like pictures of Nightwing and his own blood and stuff.
I'm imagining he like pays someone to dress up as Nightwing and just hits him in his sensitive spots with his screamer sticks.
Oh my God. Sorry, Jeff. I love what you do, but you gotta stop shitting on Nightwing.
Right. Otherwise, someone is going to hit you with the screamer sticks.
I made some.
Particularly ones that have, you know, taser edges on them.
You leave Nightwing alone.
That's right.
Make a leave Britney alone video with Nightwing.
Oh God, yeah, that's a throwback.
Unfortunately, we're probably not going to check whether this matches the drapes because it's a finale,
which means that we would,
quite frankly, because of the events in Rebirth, I didn't like the new version of, like, the new direction for Nightwing, I should say, so far. But I don't know. I'm not going to be able to read 34 issues to catch up to this in a week. So sorry, folks. I'll try to get up to it because, let's face it, I love Nightwing. I'm going to read it anyway. So
right.
I'll let you know at some point.
Yeah. Just not by next week.
But if you like art, if you like wonderful art, it's beautiful. It's great perspective. It's Nightwing being heroic for once.
Yeah.
He's fighting a big crowd of goons, and it's all done in that kind of watercolor, I don't know, aesthetic that I typically like. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just a lot to like about it. And we'll see if they put the big blue Rebirth thing on it and ruin half of it. But if they don't, it's a really great cover. So
yeah, definitely. Also, last bit, like if you want to make a really good Nightwing cover, best way to make him look heroic is to play to his strengths, which are his eskrima sticks and his acrobatics. And
the fact that he's basically Batman.
Well, that too.
He's not the kid from Kick-Ass. So quit beating his fucking ass on every cover.
It's not that hard. It's really not that hard.
Why do they hate him so much? It hurts me. Again, congratulations to Yasmin Putri. This is genuinely a life-changing award.
Oh, yeah.
And we will tell you whether Tim Seeley and Miguel Mendonca, Mendonca, hopefully, maybe I pronounced that right.
Mendonca?
Mendonca donk. We'll let you know if the content matches the drapes at some point in the future. Not next week. So, and now for our new friends out there, this is the part of the show where we each discuss a topic of our choosing about the world of comic books for your amusement. Emery, what's your topic?
My topic for today is going to be good reboot versus bad reboot.
Speaking of reboots, have you seen these robots from Boston Dynamics? I just saw a video of those fucking robots doing backflips on uneven platforms.
Oh.
Without an issue. That's terrifying.
Okay. Instead of...
Not to change the topic, but...
only a little. The whole thing with those robots is they don't need a reboot. For the safety of everyone in the future, they just need a full EMP. Fry the circuits, let it die.
Unless they control the EMPs.
Those sons of
Skynet.
bitches.
Speaking of reboots, Terminator.
They're
rebooting Terminator again.
Yeah, because the first few times weren't enough.
So they're going back to the post-Terminator 2 world.
I swear to God.
With old Arnold.
Just let it die.
Terminator 2, greatest action film of all time.
It's
probably
confirmed.
my favorite film of all time.
It
has the most badass female protagonist ever.
Sarah Connor, may she always live in infamy.
Holy shit, is she badass in the second movie?
Oh my God.
She's got some fucking guns. She should have been Wonder Woman. She should have been the first woman. She was jacked.
And she could have done it.
Linda Hamilton.
Linda, that's what it was.
Linda Hamilton, you're a badass and I love you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Another fun fact about Columbus, we have a giant statue of Arnold at our convention center right in downtown.
That no matter whether or not it looks like he's looking at you, he's looking at you and judging you.
Mm-hmm. Asking, do you even lift? Do you even lift?
Come on, it comes down to your calf muscles every time.
All right.
All right. Now, good reboots versus bad reboots in terms of comics. It is...
Now, are we going across the board? Movies, comics, TV shows, whatever? Or just sticking with comics?
I'll extend it to comic book related media. Even though, I mean, like for comic book related media, I'll just give it a quick, this one was good, this one was bad, this is why.
Yeah.
For like actual like comic books, we can talk a little bit more about that. When it comes to a good reboot, I like to think of specifically Superman in his TV outings. There was Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman, which will always have a soft spot in my heart because it was done exactly the way that Superman should be done. And then Smallville came along.
Somebody save me.
This time I'll say yes.
I love Smallville. Correction. I love the first several seasons of Smallville. Got a little long in the tooth and started doing some things I didn't like.
Yeah.
When Lex Luthor still had his dad doing his thing, that's when it was great.
Yes.
When it became all about Lex Luthor, just like having sex with Clark's girlfriend, not as great.
Yeah. Maybe not focus on that.
Yeah.
Also, there were quite a few episodes that were dedicated to team building, as it were. Those are in later seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, with that being said, that is comic book related media, my greatest example of a good reboot.
Yeah. In my opinion, I didn't really watch the Lois and Clark show. Just wasn't my taste.
Yeah.
But Smallville, to me, was the first great live action TV show for any kind of comic book, in my personal opinion.
Easily.
It was just wonderful. I love that show. And what's the greatest thing about it is, even though it had the name Smallville, it was on WB as like a teen drama. Like, that's how they advertise it. I didn't even realize it was supposed to be about Superman. But people kept telling me, "Oh, it's great, you gotta watch it." And I'm like, watch it.
It's a teen drama. I don't give a fuck about that.
Yeah. And then I tuned in one day and I was like, "This is about Superman?" What?
This whole time?
And I immediately watched every rerun that was popping up. I looked on the TV schedule. I'd make sure to watch every rerun that came up.
Show took you by surprise, didn't it?
It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, my God. It's hard to top that in terms of like rebooting something.
Yeah.
Also, in TV reboots, I have an example of a bad reboot. And this, unfortunately, happened on what is still currently my favorite DC TV show, The Flash. What do you think of when you think of Flashpoint?
Big, life-changing, time-altering event with big battles and murder and fucking devil bat.
Oh, yeah. Thomas Wayne.
Papa Bat. With a sword. Hell yeah. 2 pistols.
Yeah. Basically, all of the good shit that you mentioned was completely missing from the TV's rendition of this.
And the fucking badass war between Aquaman and Wonder Woman. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So metal.
Yeah, I want that shit.
Yeah.
And I didn't get it. Unfortunately...
I feel like Flashpoint was wrapped up in like one episode.
That's because it was. That's because it was.
Yeah.
That, I think, was probably the biggest mistake they have ever made with that show. Flashpoint should have gone at least maybe 8 episodes.
I thought it was going to be the entire season.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be him causing Flashpoint and then trying to resolve it, and then the end being whatever it was, you know?
Right. This could have been something that, because of what they had built with that comic that led to the New 52 being a thing,
Yeah.
they had so much room to work with.
Yeah,
They
absolutely.
had so many things that they could have turned on its head. So many things that they could have alluded to that were just not even addressed or ever talked about.
Yeah.
Instead, we got a basic, what would have happened if we had actually gone back to save Barry Allen's mom? He lives a regular life, kind of. And, you know, things are normal.
But he still has a little bit of his powers, but not really, because he's kind of losing them, but, you know.
Yeah, he still has his powers a little bit.
Because reasons?
Reasons, yeah. And...
Look, Wally West! Look! Don't look over here. Look over here, Wally West.
Hey! We got this other speedster right here. And we even gave him a speedster villain. Rival? Who? Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Whoa.
Does that really count as a reboot, though? I feel like it was just like a saga for the same show, which is a great show. So
I mean, it's a great show, but technically it counts because that, for at least one episode, completely resets that entire universe. Fortunately, we got back to show as regularly scheduled by the second episode because, oh, God.
Yeah. Well, we have 89 Batman rebooting the kind of early
campy
Adam West's Batman show, basically.
Yeah.
Then we go into Val Kilmer Batman, which is basically an extension of the Michael Keaton one, but with Val Kilmer instead of Michael Keaton. Then we have the real reboot, where we go into George Clooney territory. Awful reboot, because nothing makes sense. Too cartoony, like, in not a good way. Batman animated series, literally a cartoon, far better.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Then you have, the Nolanverse next?
Yeah.
And Nolanverse, again, another reboot, but this time done in a very kind of original way for superhero movies, but a great way.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the greatest way.
This kind of set the tone, which, fun fact, Christopher Nolan had that idea back in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah. And he only got to do it like so long after that because, like, one, Schumacher and crew fucked that up.
No.
But two, his greatest regret was never getting the chance to do that earlier, and then going to see the movie X-Men and then saying to people, "That was my idea. Make them dark."
Yeah. But then you have the kind of mixed bag with, to say the least, with the Snyderverse. Superman. You have the big iconic Superman of the 70s, 80s, with Chris Reeves, and then you go into Man of Steel, basically. I mean, there's the one, Brandon Routh?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
Routh,
whatever.
Yeah. Superman Returns.
He was in the middle. He was an okay Superman, but that movie was terrible. Not his fault, but the movie itself was terrible.
Yeah. There is such a thing as homaging too much.
Yeah. I mean, there's the corny, like, Thor and, like, Hulk from, like, the 80s and stuff.
Oh,
you
yeah.
could kind of count the MCU as a reboot, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Hulk is probably the most egregious of reboots.
Oh.
Because they kind of keep him in the same universe, but kind of don't.
Yeah, no.
They kind of ignore some details, and then they kind of don't. And you have
like
3 different actors playing the same guy. And the one who has been the longest lasting one has not had his own movie. So,
which is a shame.
I feel like that's not the way you want to handle a reboot.
Yeah, no.
For sure.
That was bad.
I guess X-Men kind of did it with First Class, where they kind of tried to reboot the universe and put new actors in the stead, but it's still kind of the same universe, but kind of not.
And then they rebooted it a whole movie later with Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
Is like, watch us reboot a universe in the middle of this movie.
Yeah. And with Age of Apocalypse, we have another sort of universe built
yeah.
for the Phoenix Saga, which I pray they don't get to. I hope Disney buys them before they can make that mistake.
Oh, please. Please. Also, little side note, if we reboot the X-Men again, this time just having them in the MCU, I'm going to be really worried for Captain Marvel. Because you know who takes Carol Danvers' powers, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, I'd rather have powered Rogue. If you give me a Rogue that has super strength and flying versus just having Captain Marvel who can do that, I'm going to take Rogue every time.
See, the X-Men movies has the emo Rogue before she physically molests Captain Marvel. Where she's just like, oh, I'll suck up your powers, and you'll be like, oh, man. The cool Rogue who can fly and punch through things, she gets those powers by putting Captain Marvel in a coma from
Yeah.
sucking so much of her power away.
Phrasing.
But yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like, and it's
you can't
on-
really do that unless the universes are together.
yeah.
Fox,
And
sell it.
Just sell it.
Just sell it. You know
Sell
you
it
want
so,
to.
so I can have the X-Men I've always dreamed of.
To be fair, the Fox has done a lot of good with X-Men. So
They have.
they've stumbled a few times, but I feel like everybody's stumbled at least once. So
Yeah, weirdly the X-Men movie track record has close to the same track record as the Batman movies.
yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate.
It's like
I would actually say maybe even a little better.
yeah,
There's
like
some stinkers in there.
that's true.
I don't know.
It's like there's Too Good, Too Bad, Reboot, the one that follows that reboot, and then
And then you could technically add Deadpool and Logan.
I call those side stories. Those are
I mean, if you're gonna count Wolverine Origins, you gotta, you kind of gotta count those too.
that's fair.
And then you got the
Dang it.
Wolverine, which is a good movie, and yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
They have a good haul, a respectable haul there.
That's true. In terms of actual comics, this is where things get a little weird.
Now, you may disagree with me on this, but in my opinion, there is never going to be, and there never has been, a good reboot of a comic universe in comics. Because comic fans are so diverse and so spread out across the board in their tastes and their preferences that you can never satisfy everybody. And I think this has never been demonstrated more clearly, at least for me as a DC fan, with New 52 and Rebirth. New 52 took a chance. The DC universe was admittedly getting very, very stale. There's just too many people associated with each major hero. Like, you have the Batman Incorporated on top of the already huge Bat family with Batwoman, Batgirl, 6 Batgirls, 700 Robins, spoiler, Nightwing, Red Robin,
Red Robin,
Red Hood, you name them. Then all the Superman characters, Superboy,
Crypto,
Supergirl,
the fucking dog.
Superwoman, Power Girl, the fucking dogs. It was so ridiculous and bloated and stale, and I applaud them for taking the chance with New 52. And I think they did a lot of good with New 52, but it got so overshadowed by the very vocal, traditionalists that didn't like the handful of bad changes that they made, or handful of changes or characters they kind of swept aside for the new reboot, because again, it was so bloated. One of those, the bad ones being Lobo, for example. They made this stupid emo Lobo that
so mad,
had no attitude.
Oh my God.
He was just emotional and brooding, and in the first issue he literally kills the old Lobo, literally beheads him.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a bad.
That was a misstep. Applaud them for taking chances. It was a risk for sure. Probably could have just pretended it didn't happen with the next writer or artist or whatever.
Right.
It was not a good choice.
They did something similarly weird to Power Girl in the New 52.
Well, they didn't kill her off or anything. They made her from a different universe.
Right.
They made her from a universe where they're basically fighting Darkseid, and what eventually becomes Huntress was Bruce Wayne's daughter as Robin, and they basically fly into a blown up boom tube, which puts them in a different dimension, and they take on new identities. And the new identities they take, where they used to be Supergirl and Robin, they took on the identities of Huntress and Power Girl, because those characters already exist. Take note, DC. These characters already exist in the same universe, so they took a different mantle. Drives me crazy. And that leads me, before I go on, New 52, tons of great ideas, tons of great stories, few missteps, sure, but they were literally releasing 52 different characters and issues. So obviously you're going to have missteps, and you're going to stretch your writers and artists a little thin sometimes.
Yeah.
I applaud them for taking the chance, because there is no such thing as a good universe reboot, in my opinion. You're never going to satisfy everybody. I think there are less worse, like slightly better and slightly worse. And it's a necessary evil. It needs to happen, or else things just get stale. If you don't reboot your universe, at least in my opinion, every 10 years, your universe is going to be outdated and stale and just flat, in my opinion. And with Rebirth, you saw this again. They panicked because of the vocal traditionalists, after only, 4 or 5 years. And they did the reboot to Rebirth, but instead of rebooting and trying something new again, which I applauded New 52 for, they just took all the old stuff and shoved it all together in the same universe and said, there, problem solved. Now everybody's happy, right? Wrong. Now people are just as angry, but in a different way,
So many narrative issues here.
So,
oh my God.
There's different threads here, and the ones that people had grievances about in New 52, they're like, let's just kill them. And we'll take the ones we liked and smush them in with the old ones.
Question. Why?
And Marvel's not any better. They did the same exact thing on the very similar timetable.
Yeah,
so,
the Secret Wars, or the Secret War. I think this is maybe the third Secret War that they've had.
Yeah.
Where this one universe that was kind of doing well apparently was told through the grapevine that it needed to die. And over the course of maybe a couple of years since the Ultimatum event, they had managed to just make things worse and worse and worse, even though they did a pretty sweet Ultimate Ghost Rider out of that whole thing after that.
Yeah.
But they just slowly decided to say, fuck it, we're going to kill it all. We're going to mash this whole shit with this other universe that we've been kind of doing soft reboots over so many years.
Ultimate.
And it's been getting stale. Let's have them go to war with each other. Then we're going to use big celestials like Galactus as the excuse to, wait a minute, doesn't he only do with worlds, not universes?
Which
shit.
is exactly what DC did.
Yeah.
It took Anti-Monitor and Darkseid and all these other people and said, let's have a big thing.
Clusterfuck fight
thing. Things happen because reasons.
Yeah. It makes sense, right? No.
But,
yeah, with that one, we ended up with the new universe that doesn't have a name, I don't think. At least if we did have a name, I'd have something to call this swirling clusterfuck piece of shit that they've managed to come up with. Except for, it seems like recently they've been trying to right the course of this ship.
Yeah.
Bringing back characters like Eddie Brock Venom and making it so that we can have characters like Wolverine, who's been dead for quite some time, somehow return. Even though technically he would just be in a constant state of like almost dying while being encased in adamantium.
Well, Old Man Logan exists in the same universe.
Yeah. It's like we killed him and brought him back within the same fucking thing.
Stop it. So, yeah. Maybe some people like it. I haven't met one.
I will say in comics there is one example of a reboot that I thought was actually kind of cool. And that was a Green Arrow. It's the way that they've approached this character is they've managed to basically take all of the elements that kind of work with this character, and
that's kind of on an individual scale, though.
that's true.
Because if I said that, I'd be like, well, I love Swamp Thing and Aquaman and Batgirl and and Animal Man, and
I think there is actually a category for individual characters being done well, even if the rebooting of an entire universe is kind of shit.
yeah.
Which, Animal Man, fucking fantastic.
Swamp Thing, Justice League International, Batgirl, Gail Simone writing, fuck yes.
Oh, yeah.
Aquaman, fucking awesome. Didn't
Yeah.
expect it. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Batman.
Out of nowhere.
Batman became better. Fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Action Comics, good. Great.
Yeah.
Superman, not so much.
That, I think, is a very good case for really, in this comics climate today, knowing how to keep your ear to the ground so you can hear from other people who have, tried to sift through the shit of these, universe-wide reboots and finding the gems in the midst of this.
Yeah.
Which I think is how I got myself hooked on to Mr. Miracle. It was like I heard from one of the people on YouTube that I listened to talk about how Mr. Miracle, in the midst of all of the shit that's going on with this rebooted universe, somehow, out of nowhere, manages to have a fantastic first issue. And it's only been good from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. And that pushes me into my issue, I guess. If you want to...
Let's segue
Get on.
straight into yours.
My topic is what dictates whether or not you're going to continue reading a book after the first issue. I bring this up because every week we've been getting new number ones and checking them out and letting you know whether we liked them or not. And then if we like them, we keep going.
Yeah.
Just very quickly, what makes you want to stay with a comic
Narrative consistency.
from the first issue?
Well, I would say the issue that you have of what was the one with the lock and key guy?
Sword of Ages.
If there is one thing from that one issue that what you said kind of turned me off the most, is how it seemed.
No sword in Sword of Ages. But go on.
That's hilarious. The thing that turned me off the most is how inconsistent it seemed within itself.
Yeah. That's a very fair observation. I stand corrected.
If it can remain consistent, I will give it usually a second look. Well, that and the price point. And it's usually, I personally usually give it to the second book to make my decision whether or not to keep going.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the first issue gets a little weird, and then the second one, they really kind of hit their stride.
Yeah.
There are very few exceptions to the rule on the good side of it, where it's top to bottom amazingly told. And the biggest example of that is The Watchmen. I don't think there's a single issue of that is tonally, narratively inconsistent from page one.
I think a great example of that in the modern age is Mr. Miracle,
Yeah.
Batman White Knight. Just great books from start to finish.
Oh, yeah.
For me personally, Lock and Key, Nail Biter. Just great books,
Oh, yeah. Good art. That is the one thing that actually even more so than a tonally consistent narrative, if the art is shitty, I'm not going to want to keep reading.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's like fucking Squirrel Girl. I've seen panels of Squirrel Girl, and I'm just like, no, and fuck you.
There are specific books that I actually loved that I wanted to stay with, and I ended up staying with them just because I wanted to finish it out.
Yeah.
But the New 52 Batman run, there was 1 or 2 issues in there with the Court of Owls series where they were trying to play with perspective because he's hallucinating and stuff.
Yeah, I
and
think
like,
I know what issue you're talking about.
But it was like an entire book where nothing made sense. Like I couldn't follow the dialogue because I didn't know where it started. And like I get that's what they were trying to shoot for, but it made it for a really unpleasant read. And like, you know, Capullo's a great artist, but for what was happening in this book, it was just like smeared like nonsense with a vaguely bat-shaped look to it, and it was just like it wasn't fun to read. It, you know, it both digitally and physically, it just didn't work.
Oh, digitally, that seems like a nightmare.
Digitally, it was a nightmare because that I really had no fucking idea what was going on. And I read it digitally originally because I was in the Army at the time, and I think at some training event, JRTC or something. So I was trying to read it on my phone, and it was just like, what the fuck is going on, you know?
Yeah.
And when you do pay the higher price point, which back then, New 52 issues were pretty expensive. They're $4.99 an issue. I was just so pissed. And I almost gave up on the book, which sucked because Court of Owls, other than those few panels and books, was great. I feel like it should have been a Nightwing story because it directly related to Nightwing, but
it's Gotham, and for Gotham we have Batman.
It was a great story, you know.
Yeah.
So, for me personally, I have to have the beginning of a story. That was my biggest problem with Lost in the Woods or Lost Woods, whatever, that local comic from a Columbus-based writer and artist.
Or Long Lost or something.
Yeah, Long Lost. That's it. Thank you. I thought it had promise, but there was no story yet. There was nothing. They gave you nothing to start a story with. And then you go to a far superior book like Imaginary Fiends, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
Wonderful book. Great book. So, yeah, just to throw everything together. Art has to be, for me, it doesn't have to be great, but it has to be coherent.
Oh, yeah.
Plot, there has to be at least the beginnings of the story. For example, with Imaginary Fiends. Imaginary Fiends has a great setup. It gives you not only great art and believable dialogue, but it also gives you the premise for a great story. It gives you the beginning of a story, whereas Long Lost did not give you the beginning of the story. It gave you a spattering of characters and some random events that don't really go together, that don't make a story, that don't make a beginning. Just like, hey, look at this weird thing.
Right.
Stay tuned.
There was actually, from Imaginary Fiends, a quarter of that book would have made Long Lost much more interesting.
Yeah. So, for me, the primary thing that you need to have is something that is coherent and something that begins a story.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things that can kind of, throw me off. For example, if your book is trying to preach a message like very strongly and obviously in a way that's not, I can totally roll with like a message or like a principle or, a concept that I don't particularly like flow with. But there are points where it's just done so poorly and so like done with a hammer instead of something precise, where I just kind of I shrug it off and I'm like, yeah, there's other books to spend my money on, especially if they're expensive,
Yeah.
Price point is a big deal, but for me, first issues, I'll usually spend the extra cash just to see what it's about, because I know, well, even if it's mediocre, I'm getting a meaty comic, and it is a number 1, so it'll probably hold its value, if not gain value, So there's that. But some books, I usually stick around for the next issue if it is coherent, if it does set up a story of some sort, it does flow generally in a direction I can ride along with, and the art is coherent and, bonus if it's good looking.
Yeah.
Having a nice cover helps too, but that's not exclusively why I'll keep going with your issues. But yeah, those are the things I definitely look for. And if you have a particularly interesting story like Mr. Miracle, like Batman White Knight, like Nailbiter, like Lock and Key, just to name a few, I will emphasize the importance of making sure I pick up your issue every time it gets released. Whereas others, if it's like number 1 with a bullet, for example, interesting premise, unique art style, coherent, didn't really blow me away with that first issue, but it was interesting enough. It was intriguing enough to make me go, I'll probably pick up the next issue. Eventually. I'll eventually get to it and pick it up. Maybe not the week it comes out. Maybe, a few weeks from now when it's still hanging around. I see it on the shelf and I have a light collection of comics to buy that day. Then I'll pick it up. But otherwise, if I miss it, I miss it. No big deal. I'll wait for it to be discounted on Comixology or be free on the unlimited subscription or something,
Yeah.
So
that'll definitely, at least for me, make the difference between whether or not I am a regular buyer that's like looking for it the second that it comes out.
Yeah.
And the latter, which would be waiting until either, it's cheaper or you buy it in a volume or what have you. Any other way than waiting for it like I would a comic that actually like grabbed me.
Yeah. So there are things that'll help me gravitate to it if it's a character I already associate with and like, and I'm already familiar with, Batman, something along those lines. I'll probably give it a second or third issue to catch up if that first issue is a little weak,
Yeah.
I'll give it the benefit of the doubt usually. So there is that kind of biases where if you are a brand new comic like Sword of Ages, probably not going to give you a second chance, especially for a $5.99 price point, Nice art, but it was just too much going on, too much nonsense that doesn't flow together, doesn't correlate with each other, and like lacks originality because it's just stuff taken from things that already exist and smushed together in a nonsensical hodgepodge of bullshit. I don't know. I'm being a little harsh just to emphasize the point. It was still okay to read, primarily because of the art. But yeah, if you draw me in with that first or second issue, and you really get something going, like a Mr. Miracle did out of the blue, like Nailbiter, like Lock and Key. I'm just going back to these examples because they're the most recent in my mind.
Oh, yeah.
You will have me hooked until the end, even if you falter for an issue or two. I'm probably not going to drop off just because you established such a great foundation. Looking at you, DCEU. Foundation, very important, very important.
Yep.
Don't fuck it up.
Yep.
So anything you wanted to add?
Not that I can think of. I think we hit all of the, the points that matter.
Yeah. I think for some of our audience out there, you might be shouting at the screen, characters I like or characters I can sympathize with or whatever. I would say that's not always the case for me.
Yeah.
I can totally read a book about a character that is nothing like me, that I don't really fundamentally connect with on a personal level or anything. They can be completely distasteful, gross people. To me, it's like watching a Martin Scorsese film where 99% of the characters in the Martin Scorsese film are not likable, are pieces of evil shit, you know? But it's so thrilling to watch, and there's such a compelling narrative with it that you can't look away.
Right.
Know? That's how I feel. Breaking Bad might be another example of that, where pretty much every character on the show is just horrible in their own way. You know, even the innocent ones.
Like even some part of them is just like so much darker than you would ever expect.
Either darker or unlikable. Just like, ugh.
It's like, I can't believe you did that.
But the story was so compelling and the narrative was so compelling. It kept me enthralled. It kept me in it.
Yeah.
So,
I would say that to go along with that, there is another thing that I think can tend to kind of get lost in the sea of, like, why should I keep buying this? Like, when this number one doesn't seem to be, like, grabbing me. There are certain cases where sometimes comics will have a bad or like a weak number one.
Yeah.
It's also important to be said that there are some cases where they'll have a strong number one and then the rest of it's shit.
Yeah. Also very true.
Yeah, that's something that
buyer beware.
Yeah.
Like I said, if you did establish that strong foundation, for me at least, as a buyer, I will probably go through 2, 3, 4 bad issues before I give up on you, you know? Whereas if you don't have a strong foundation, if it's one of those like, comics that's coherent but not particularly good, and then I pick up issue 2 and it's even worse or just as bad, that's when you're going to lose me, like, on that second or third issue. Whereas if you do have that really strong out the gate issue, that might be enough to pull me along, where if you do stumble a few times, you can catch back up and save yourself. Yeah.
Oh man, this seems really, really good. I kind of have that. I had that moment for like a split second with Batman White Knight, and there was actually a part in the middle of the first issue where it's the Joker, and he's writing on something that I think is the dumbest thing in all the world. Like, it was on that, I was like, he didn't just do that. I was told this was good.
I thought it was goofy, but it's the Joker, so
right,
it fits the character. So I couldn't dog him too much or anything.
Yeah, that is a very good example of me, like, having a moment where I'm thinking, I'm not sure I want to keep going with this one, even though, like, everything else in this is good. That one thing is, like, kind of pulled me out of it a second. But I had faith in that book.
Tornado Dad.
Tornado Dad.
Fuck you, Man of Steel.
It's always going to come back to that, isn't it?
There can be moments where the bad part is just so egregious, no matter how small, where you just can't forgive it. And that happened for me in Man of Steel. Not a comic, but it does happen in comic books too, sometimes. Grayson. Stupid premise. It ended up being a good book. I have to always remind myself before I get angry. It ended up being a good book. I read the whole thing.
But the premise
and the character they used for the book.
It hurts.
Damn it.
So yeah, there are exceptions to the rule, but generally you can tell from the first issue.
Yeah, you usually get a good idea.
Yeah.
At the very least, you get the idea of what the capabilities of this writer and this artist are.
Yeah.
If nothing else, if it's just like middle of the ground and every other aspect, you at the very least can recognize what the ceiling and the floor of this artist and this writer are going to be, at least at this point in time for this specific run of comics or whatever title. So,
yeah.
Well, anything else to add?
No, I think that's going to be it.
Well, folks, that wraps up another mediocre edition of Hit the Books Podcast.
Mediocre.
I want to thank you all for sticking with us. If you like what you hear, be sure to hit like and subscribe down below. Leave us a positive review on your podcast services of choice. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HTBvids, on Facebook /HitTheBooks, and check out our website for any links to our Stitcher, our iTunes, our YouTube channel, and any written reviews and written content we may have posted. And remember, I'll put a button for freshcomics.us on our page, so you can go directly from our site to their site if you don't remember what the URL is. I think it was a pretty good episode. What do you think?
I think it was pretty good.
I'm your host, Chris Holcomb.
And I'm Emery Saunders.
And thanks for watching. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.